In boxing, your feet lie for you before your fists ever do. A pivot isn't just a step, it's a trap. Every inch, every angle, every stutter step has meaning. So when a boxing game like Undisputed comes along and introduces a revolutionary style of footwork, you expect the truth to start at the feet. Yet, from early access to today, Footwork and Undisputed has just always felt wrong, specifically loose movement. I'm JMMA, and today, let's do a deep dive analysis on the footwork in Undisputed. From like the first month of early access, I always noticed something was off with the loose movement in Undisputed because I was mainly a Rocky Marciano player. And seeing, footage on how Rocky fought, his infamous fights with Joe Louis and just how he was really in today's standards, a smaller heavyweight, and seeing how flat-footed he was, and then getting in this game and seeing that, once you go into loose movement, how just fast he is. I believe he has like 90 plus movement speed. So seeing stuff like that, I always thought loose movement was supposed to be an option. The slick, stylish way to control space, control distance and rhythm, and glide in and out of range, not just full on running. When you're circling right, you're on the other side of the ring at seconds. No weight shifts, no small steps, no slowing down, no friction to the boots or to the mat. You know what I mean? It's just pure lateral speed, and it kind of diminishes the engagement of the fight in this game. Because instead of using loose movement, again, like I said, to create angles, players use it as a way to disengage completely and mask it as boxing. Pretty much to frustrate players, waste time, waste their stamina, and to just completely drain them as players. Entire rounds become almost like chase sequences in an action movie. Pressure fighters are pretty much useless in this, and then the ring for loose footwork is looked at as almost some sort of some racetrack, like a dog racetrack, horse racetrack, that sort of thing. And again, like I mentioned, the worst part of this is something that's not new. This is something that's been I would say a problem since early access, if you've been around Undisputed long enough. Because once early access came from the betas, to that, the removal of small steps, you really just started to notice this, plus other broken mechanics. But it's no small steps, no half steps, no tiny angle shifts. I mean, we're gonna look at some era life footage of people like Terrence Crawford and Caleb Plant, or even Lomachenko, where they make these minor changes to where they step in or come in on off angle for a specific punch. It's just no nuance in this game to how you move, no sort of creativity or anything else of that nature. It's either stationary, walking forward, not in loose movement, or you're in loose movement and you're pretty much sprinting around. That's how I look at it. Because in real fighting, back foot fighting, outside fighting, whatever you want to call it, is an art. It is a taxing art, but it's an art. And I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, Jay, I feel like the movement speed shouldn't be changed, and I feel like people have to adjust and things like that. That's kind of like the problem, though. You're constantly moving, getting hit. By the way, it's not like a lot of y'all are moving and not getting hit. A lot of y'all are getting hit perfectly to the body. You're constantly moving, not really adjusting, not really responding to the pressure like that. And even if you're not taking damage, it still kind of should tax that gas tank a little bit. Now, for example, right, we're gonna look at this fight right here. Look at this fight right here with Devin Haney and Regis Prograis, one of my favorite fighters. Look at the positioning of where Devin Haney is and Regis is. Now, Devin really particularly likes to control that mid to inside range a lot of times in this fight. Preferably, I think that he looked his best in this fight, but the Lomachenko fight as well. At this fight, and it's like, if he is, you see, boom, right there, he counters. You can see that when he does want to return or gain respect, he's not backing up and throwing jabs or he just did right there. He's not backing up and throwing jabs or backing up and throwing rear hooks. When he wants to earn the respect of Regis, and I believe he dropped Regis like twice in this fight, you can see he's planting his feet and throwing. It's not wasted movement. You see, when he hits Regis, he's not backing up and then circling all the way around her. You know what I mean? It's never like that. You can do this in the game. I'm talking about loose movement, and fight off that back foot or fight off that loose movement for however long it may be and not lose any stamina. Now, granted, a lot of you guys aren't throwing anything. The people who do it, you're not really throwing anything, and I agree on this aspect because again, people like Devin Haney, people like I'm trying to think, someone like a Shakur Stevenson, you know, those guys who really try to dictate range. Terrence Crawford, when you're dominating just the space and overall distance, and when you're just winning that fight, and you know how to control like your cardio and things like that, obviously you're not really losing stamina, right? But for example, if you're engaging in a pocket versus someone and you're in loose movement on your back foot fighting and you're constantly moving, that does tax the stamina. You know what I mean? Look at Frank Martin versus Gervonta Tank Davis. I think that's probably one of my favorite examples. Or Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant, another fight we're going to look at later on in this video. But going back to the Tank and Frank Martin fight, you look at Frank Martin was moving his butt off in that fight. But you notice what Tank was doing, he really, when he was pressuring, for one, he really never like overextended or overthrew to give Frank the counters that he wanted to. And then two, he really worked the body to slow down the legs. And I think that's something that's really key in this game, because when you do that, for one, body shots don't land consistently enough anyways, regardless. So that's a problem in itself. But I feel like even if you do that, you get to the point to where once their stam is down, or if their stam ever does get down, this is a big if their stam ever does get down from, you know, using body shots to drain them, once they get in that flat-footed movement, they're pretty much still hitting just as hard as they were if they were in the, you know, first round. It's just no trade-off, no sort of penalty. You're rewarded just for not engaging. Pretty much, you're turning a sport of boxing that's based off of timing and rhythm pretty much into a turn-based waiting game. That's how I look at it. Now, don't get me wrong, implementing the footwork system that Undisputed has isn't easy. I do think overall it's not terrible. It's honestly one of the bright spots of the game is the footwork system. It just, these tweaks and these intricacies could really change the dynamic of online meta and gameplay and things like that, because there's no dynamic styles within the how do I say this, through the play styles. And again, like I said, all of that starts from the base. A lot of that starts from the base. You look at someone like Mike Tyson, he used to talk about how he never really looked at his opponent face to face. He always will look at the hips and the feet, and that's really true. You know, because before someone throws a punch, what's moving first before that punch lands or before that arm extends? It's the feet, the hips, you know, rotation, torque, that sort of thing. And again, bad footwork ruins time, because if fighters move fast or sideways before they punch forward, your sense of distance kind of like goes away, if I'm making sense. You can't cut off the ring, you can't trap someone in the corner, you can't punish people who really don't want to engage. It's just no resistance. It's pretty much, it's like you're pulling that one way. You're not really getting any pushback, if I'm kind of making sense with this whole footwork thing. And good intentions, again, like I said, the footwork really is a bright spot, but good intentions don't fix how bad people feel about the footwork, about the game. Because right now, movement feels like, honestly, one of the biggest pillars of what needs to be fixed with the game, built around just like positioning, pivots, angles, that sort of thing. And F graphics and animation polish, that, because that should come, right? But when you step forward, right, or when you step backwards, when you step off the center line, everything should mean something. And with the footwork, you just don't get that. So first, what should we do? What should we do? Slow down loose movement. Now, I'm not saying slow down the speed just automatically completely and make it slower, but look at this fight right here that I'm about to pull up with Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant. Now, Caleb Plant, different from Devin Haney, is a true outside guy. He really he comes in at mid-range when he really wants to step in and gain some sort of respect, but more times than not, he's on the outside moving. And look at how he's moving. He's not gliding backwards. It's all intentional. You can see when Canelo has him on the ropes, he's moving his head, boom, he circles out. It's not like he gets in loose movement, then he circles around the entire ring. He gets his positioning back to where he wants to stand, and now he's throwing again. You see, like, this is just, when I think of outside fighting, this is one of the fights, or one of the examples I use so much. Look at the distance in between Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant when there's some sort of outside fighting. You don't get that Undisputed. Because look at the outside fighting versus Undisputed. It's way, you know what I'm saying? The dynamic and distance is just way different. The parameters need to be shortened. So when I say slow down the movement, I don't mean slow down the movement to give it, just some big, huge advantage to inside fighters. When I say slow down movement, give inside fighters some source of chance. It's supposed to be a chess match. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be, just some sort of, all right, I'm gonna run around the ring and you gotta pretty much figure out how to cut me off, because you don't have the tools to do that. So I think the first step in order to get some sort of balance in between two play styles to create this chess master of a sport that we love is kind of shortening the parameters of what outside ranges, mid ranges, and then inside fight. We need to really change the parameters of that. That's what I mean by slowing down the movement. Next, we need to bring back small steps. Small steps need to come back. Let the fighters make subtle adjustments without committing to full movement animations. Half steps, even sometimes hops. You see someone like Lomachenko really does that a lot. So yeah, bringing something back like that would make sense. The next one I have would be obviously Rework and Stamina. Again, I do feel like if you're dominating the fight, I really don't feel like you should be losing Stamina. I don't really feel like it should hit a specific round and then you just lose Stamina because you're in loose footwork. That really doesn't make sense. But if you're engaging with someone and they have the game plan, they see, okay, he's on the back foot, let me hit that body, let me just make him work and engage like Canelo Alvarez did to Caleb Plant, then yes, over time, you should lose Stamina. At the end of the day, this is a video game. This is not real life. Yes, most boxers could go 12 rounds, but when you're in there with a supreme, talent on the opposite end, you have to have some sort of balance. You know what I mean? It has to make logical sense, and I think that's something Undisputed really needs to hammer home. Make it based on distance, travel, not just that the actions taken. If I'm making, I know I'm saying that a lot, but I really want to make sure I'm making sense with that. And then the last one would obviously allow for realistic ring generalship, cutting off the ring. If you're, at range, if someone comes forward, that goes into, the jab having exo, some sort of control, some sort of presence within this whole footwork thing. Again, a lot of factors go into footwork, more than a lot, but having that as well, and just have anchor movement in the weight of how fighters move. I think that's really important as well. Fighters should feel grounded. They should have some weight. Everything should be with purpose. It should be deliberate intent with everything. The way I like to fight, I like to be 3 steps ahead of everything I do. So when my opponent figures out I'm doing something, I already know you figured that out. Now try to come figure out the next thing. That's what boxing is. That's the meat of this, and I feel like it all starts with the footwork. But Undisputed still has time. They still have time to make this right. The footwork is a great mechanic in the game. Again, it's one of the bright spots of this game. It has the meat and some sort of bones to it. But right now, we're standing on something made of clay. I feel like, and no matter how beautiful graphics look or anything like that, how deep the roster goes, whatever it may be, the movement just not feel right, then nothing else, you have no basis to stand on. So this video is just more so for me to kind of gauge what you guys think about my opinion, what you think. But all this goes directly back to developers. I have a direct line to developers, so when I'm talking about footwork, I can always reference this video, or I can reference one of you guys' comments or anything like that. That's mainly why I came back, because now that I have that source of communication, it's gonna make feedback way better, and it's gonna make things go smoother as we all try to progressively get this game back on the right track. All right, like, comment, subscribe, share if you're new, join the family, join the gang. Do not forget we have a voice. I'm still fighting a good fight, y'all. I'm trying, but I'm still fighting a good fight. Peace and prosperity. God bless all you guys. Do something productive for your day. Be near me that's not productive. It's been JMMA talking about Undisputed Footwork. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.